What's up guys and welcome back to Savage Planet. So it's Friday and I wanted to look back at my previous predictions about the 2020 elections and go over everything, what I was right at, what I was wrong at, and admit some mistakes. It was a tough one, a very tough election to predict, especially state by state. So let's get to it. I did predict a Trump win on this channel, and I admit that, and many others did as well. But if you break it down state by state, and the election mafia that, for example, predicted that states like Wisconsin and Michigan would go to Biden by 6, 7, or 8 points, I was actually much closer than many of them. So I'm going to go state by state as well, at least the important ones. There are 50 states and I'm not going to cover all of them, not even half. But I thought we could start with the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire was a very surprising one. I was not expecting Biden to win by such a big margin. I did actually call it for Trump a number of times, and it was a 7-point win for Biden. So I did, by all counts, fail in that one. I was expecting Chris Sununu to maybe pull Trump a bit higher, but it did not turn out that way. So, of course, New Hampshire is a sort of suburban state, and Biden is doing very well in the suburbs. So maybe in 2024, but not this time. Going to the next state, the state of Pennsylvania. Now, I always saw this as being close. I knew that Biden is from Pennsylvania and that was going to help him, but there were also some signs that it would go to Trump. So I believe that I gave it to Biden in one prediction and gave it to Trump in two others. All in all, it was a very close one, so I wasn't surprised by its closeness, but seeing Erie County, it is the swing county that did... It's sort of the bellwether of Pennsylvania. It always goes to the winner. It went to Trump the last time, along with Northampton County, and yeah, it was tough for all of us. But in the end, it turned out Pennsylvania went to Biden. Michigan, I was actually a bit more had a bit more faith in Trump in Michigan, even though he was clearly doing worse in Grand Rapids and Kent County. I was not expecting him to lose much ground in the Detroit area. However, he did lose some ground there as well. So, Michigan, since Biden is not born in Michigan, I thought it could be favorable to Trump. But again, I was off by around 2-3 points. And Wisconsin, it was the state I was most certain would actually go to Trump. But if you look at here, the suburban counties, he didn't only crack 60% in one of them, in Washington County. And even though he did quite well in the western part of the state, it was not enough. It was a very narrow win for Biden. Both parties outperformed in terms of popular vote in what everyone got in 2016, and they did basically across the board in all states. But it was a narrow Biden win. Minnesota, one of my biggest fails. It was certainly not when I was expecting to go to Biden with such a big margin. I was predicting it to Trump a couple of times. So I take no credit for Minnesota at all. It was just bad. But the Republicans did flip a House seat, and now the House delegation in Minnesota is split 50-50. So all in all, it wasn't the worst year for Republicans in Minnesota. Going to Iowa, I was actually expecting Trump to win Iowa, but by a bit smaller margin than last time. He won it by 8, about the same as Ohio. So I was quite accurate there. Going to Ohio, of course, now the Ohio Valley is part of the reddest areas in the country. And yeah, I was always calling Ohio likely. Was I expecting him to win it with more or less? Not really sure, but it was about the same. Very similar in terms of the percentage. So Ohio, I wouldn't say bullseye, but yeah, hits. Virginia, Trump never really campaigned in Virginia, so I didn't really assess that he was going to have any shot there. In North Carolina, I was expecting it to go to Trump. I knew that the demographic trends did not favor him. So 2-4 was sort of my prediction, and it ended up being less than 2, which, alright, he still won it. But Georgia, what a surprise. Georgia was not favoring the Republicans this year at all. Georgia went to Joseph Biden by around 12,000 votes, and both parties overperformed the popular votes of 2016 by wide margins. There are almost 1 million more votes cast in Georgia in 2020 than 2016, because you have, I believe it was 1.8 to Trump's 2 and it was mostly in the Atlanta suburbs, and that Trump won it by 5 and then was going to lose it. I could never have predicted that, so certainly a surprise. Florida, sort of what I was expecting, 2 to 4 points for Trump. He went by between 3 and 4, so a solid Trump state that will probably stay Republican in the next election. Texas, yeah, it was going to continue to go close, but still be a Republican state, no surprise there. New Mexico, yeah, it wasn't really a swing state. I mean, if there was a huge Republican wave, they could maybe win another House district, maybe win the Senate race. Mark Ronchetti really impressed. The GOP Senate candidate in New Mexico, great guy, proved everyone wrong, and he came in within 5 points or so, much closer than Cory Gardner in Colorado. Speaking of Colorado, Trump lost here by 13, which was of course a major disappointment. Gardner lost by a much narrower margin because he is not as unpopular in the suburbs as Trump. So Colorado, I think it's safe to say, has now lost its swing state status unless some some really suburban Coloradoan emerges and becomes president in 2024, and yeah. Or the Republicans just appeal to the right minority, because there is a lot of college-educated white liberals in Colorado, which makes it very difficult to win. Arizona, I mostly gave Arizona to Trump. I gave it to Biden maybe once or twice, and he won it by around 10,000, 11,000 votes. It was mostly because of Maricopa County. It was actually only because of Maricopa County and the suburban trends there. It's growing, it is very much Latino and white liberals moving from New York and California. So, not a good day for Republicans in Arizona. And I think it shows that, at least if there was no voting fraud, that the way that Trump conducted himself was not really a good fit for people in cities, in suburbs, and it contributed very much to his loss of Arizona and Georgia. So I don't think that another Republican like Ron DeSantis would have lost those two states in 2020 if he ran. Nevada is the last one, and I was sort of impressed because both Biden and Trump outperformed their raw vote total from 2016 by very big margins. We are talking way more votes cast in this election, but the percentage was almost equal, about 2.4% of wins for Biden. And was it what I was predicting? I was predicting it to be narrow. I would like it to be not so narrow, but in the end it was about exactly the same as last time, and I guess I was 1 or 2 points off. Going to California, it's just interesting because it's the most populous state. Trump did actually improve. There was less third-party votes. He got 34% instead of 31% last time. Still didn't win Orange County, which he lost by nearly 10 points. Man. But he did contribute to some Republicans taking back their House seats, which I think is important. Now, overall, in terms of the popular vote, I didn't really make a prediction about that, but I was never expecting Biden to manage to pull out 81 million compared to Clinton's 65 million. The fact that he improved by nearly 16 million votes from Clinton in 2016, that was something that I could not foresee, and is probably the main reason that I did not expect him to win this election, because where was he going to get all those votes from? I knew that Trump's raw vote was going to grow. I knew that Biden's was too, but not by such margins. So it was certainly a surprise. Mostly Georgia and Arizona were surprises, and also the margins in some states like Minnesota and New Hampshire. But again, if you look at the election mafia, many did fail by much bigger margins. I wasn't that bad in terms of predicting different states. So please don't hate me. And I'll try to also make some videos about the Senate and House elections and what was my view about them. But anyway, that's all I had for you guys today. Please like this video, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.